So good morning if you're joining on YouTube and Facebook. Back to some live sessions, which is good. We've been just chatting on Zoom about on Zoom about lower back. So we're going to put a little bit of focus on that, on mobilizing the spine, getting a little bit more mobilization through the lower back. Remembering anything we do today, not to push it, not to force it, go to your comfortable range of motion. It's not overdoing it. And as always, always be guided by your breath. You don't need to follow exactly what I'm doing, and you can most probably do a little bit more than what I'm doing sometimes. But let's start off as always, just with your feet shoulder width apart. A little bit of softness in the knees and that spinal rotation, so we're going knocking on the door of life. And really bear in mind the position of your spine, and particularly the position of your head as well. So it's quite nice to think about that space between the base of the skull and the top of the vertebra of the neck, because we tend to bring that head forwards and then we lose the rotation through the upper back. So just nice and easy, nice and gentle. Breathing in and out through the nose. Just letting the arms relax. And just glancing side to side. You don't have to do a big rotation side to side. We don't have to look all the way to each side, just glancing side to side. And just by tapping the lower back, so you've got that hand tapping your lower back, it's bringing blood flow into your lower back. So really let that back arm tap into the lower back, the back of the hand. And then just gradually slowing it down into water waves. So it's just slowing. Always go a little bit lower in the knees here. As you're doing this, visualize where your hip joints and the bones of the leg come into the hip joints. So really strong through the hips. And keeping that spine long. And take a moment. Standing tall. Let's step out a little bit wider now. So maybe about hip, maybe about shoulder and a half width apart. So again, you want to be comfortable in this position. Don't go too wide. And then we just hinge the hips back a little bit. We're just resting on the thighs. I'm not putting all the weight on the thighs here. I'm not leaning on the thighs or pushing my hands on the knees. I'm just resting on the thighs gently. And then we shift side to side. So keep that pelvis parallel to the ground. This is nice on the hips. So feel that movement through the hips. So just get that shift side to side. I'm not dropping the hips. So make sure you're not dropping the hips like this. I'm just moving, pushing through the ground, moving the hips to the side, moving that hip to the side. So just, it's like gliding the pelvis side to side. And then we free up that upper body. So it's a bit like dog wags the tail, but we get that movement now through lower back, upper back, and into the neck as well. And the trick is to look towards the foot that you're moving away from. So that gives you that nice flow through the spine, that lateral movement through the spine. So it's nice on the hips, it's good on the lower back, on the upper back and on the neck. Moving the body like a river. Nice and slow, breathing comfortably. And then gradually slow it down. Slowly take your time just to come up to standing. And then just walking your feet back in. And standing tall. And then let's do the teacup one. This is a good one for hips as well, and lower back and that whole spiral. So one palm facing upwards. The trick is to keep this palm all the time facing upwards. We're not tipping and dropping your cup. So you imagine you've got a teacup in your hand there. Lead with the hips. So if I'm mirroring you, your right hip is going out to the side, and then your hips are going back, and then your hips are going to the other side. Open up in the front of the body. This is where we tend to get tight. So really open up in the front of the body. Hip pushes forwards and then come back. And then just repeat that movement. Nice and slow. Breathing easy. Do a couple more this direction. Leading with the hips, leading with the center. Take a rest. And then swap sides. So the other palm up. And then hip glides. So the hip is moving first. The hips move, the center moves, and that upper body follows. So that whole idea of moving from your center. Everything you do, the movement starts from the center. Breathing easy, not straining, not forcing. Let's do one more. And rest when you've done that. Let's do a bit of a leg swing. This is always a nice one. So we balance on one leg, and then we just swing that other leg across the front, out, and then land. So this is a great balance, but also really good on opening up the hips. I had a client who kept getting stuck in his upper back all the time, and we did this once and he went, oh, it's just released it. So it actually released that tightness in his upper back just by swinging the leg. Keep nice and tall. If you can lift that knee a little bit higher, good. Keeping the spine long. Let's do one more to each side. And then good shake out. Really want a good shake there. And then let's shake the ankle. Give the ankle a good shake. I tend to find, I know everybody's different, but sometimes if I get tightness in the hip, my ankle is tight as well. So it could be the hip is creating the tightness in the ankle, or it could be the ankle is creating the tightness in the hip. So good just to give those ankles a good shake out. So you're shaking from the hip, from the leg. Yeah, that one wants a click. I can feel, you know, like sometimes you can just feel it needs just that little bit of a click. Good. And then just take a moment just standing, letting the breath settle. So we're going to do, as Elaine was showing us on Zoom just before we started this session, we're going to do a roll down of the spine. Again, really take this to your comfortable range of motion, your comfortable level. We're not having to go to touch the toes. We're not trying to see how flexible we are. It's a gentle roll down, breathing all the way through it. You roll down, I'll show you first, you roll down head first, and then you just roll vertebra by vertebra. And then you just let the knees bend. Just slowly down. And just breathing. And then just letting the head and the neck hang. I'll just come back up again. So let's just do that. Everybody's doing it. That's fine on Zoom. That's fine. So you're rolling down. And then just hanging for a moment. Really bend the knees so you can sit into it as well. So you feel comfortable. You're not straining on the hamstrings. And just really letting the shoulders and the head relax. And just breathing, maybe breathing into the back. Breathing into between the shoulder blades. Breathing down into the lower back. And as you breathe out, if you can just let go a little bit more, relax and let go a little bit more, a little bit heavier in the shoulders and the head. So on a breath out, just letting go a little bit more. If it gets too much, just in your own time, slowly come up. If you're coming up, you just bend the knees a little bit more. Use the ground, so it's almost like coming out of a squat, coming out of the tiger squat. Use the ground, slowly lift the hips up by straightening the legs. And then just very gently roll. Take your time coming up if you're slowly rolling up. And then come to full standing when you get to the top. And we're going to turn that into a full body flow. This is slightly different. I'll show you first. So watch this first this time. I'm going to show you from the side. You just grab one wrist. And again, really go at your own comfortable level, your own comfortable pace. Lengthen up and then hinge back. So the hips come forwards, extend here. So we're not just compressing the lower back, but hips come forward. extend back, lift up, and then we hinge forwards as far as we can, depending on your hamstrings, etc., with a neutral spine. Now I can only get to about there. And then you bend the knees a little bit and then you can roll down. So do exactly the same we did there, but just the knees bent a little bit. And then move into a squat, a little bit more deeper, and then roll up. So we just make this into a full body flow. So we're also opening up the front of the body and all that fascia through the front of the legs, the front of the hips, the front of the body, as well as the back. We're lengthening out the back of the body. So you reach forwards and then bend the knees and roll down. Do it really slowly. When you're reaching forwards, see if you can not push the hips back too far, because sometimes when we reach forwards, we'll push the hips back. See if you can keep, it'll be a little bit more challenging that you can keep your hips pretty much over the ankles. The cat's watching me out there. Hello, cat. And then just gives you that nice little extra lengthening of the upper back and the lower back and the hamstrings. Let's do one more. Think about lengthening all the fascia through the front of the body and then all the fascia through the back of the body. And then take a rest. It's always a good one to do that. I don't think I do that often enough, but it's remembering, go at your own comfortable pace, go at your own range of motion, let the breath guide you. We can often go to classes and we're watching someone doing all of this amazing flexibility and then we're forcing it. We don't want to be pushing, we don't want to be forcing. Good, let's do some spinal cord breathing now. Let's see how that feels. We normally do this at the beginning. It's actually quite nice to see how that feels after we've done a little bit more mobilization, a little bit more strength. So breathing in, expanding the body, and breathing out, curling up and contracting. Remember to get that pelvis moving. So as you're breathing in, you're tilting, spilling out the front of the pelvis. As you're breathing out, spilling out the back of the pelvis. Following your breath, nobody else's. On your next in-breath, just rotate to one side and then just breathing in and then breathing out down that side. Again, this is great for the lower back. Feel that lower back movement through the lower back as you're breathing in again. And then come back to center, breathing out down the center. And then rotate to the other side. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, and then breathing out down the center. And then just do a couple more in and out through the center. And taking a rest. Good, have a little leg shake. And some particular qigong flow now. Let's do some qigong flow, which is is really good again, and we've done this is the one we've done a few times actually, but it's really nice on the spine. First one is the baby bird. So remember, palms back. I always say palms, it's not your palm, it's the back of your hand. Back of the hands together, and have an idea, I'm exaggerating this movement, but have an idea that you're doing that spinal cord, that you get that wave through the spine, and that is what is bringing the elbows up. It's like you've got an elbows string on an elbow, and then that string lets the elbows go. So you get that little spine wave, breathing in, shoulders relaxed, breathing out. And the thing always to remember when we're doing any of the flows is that it's a full body movement. So you're not just locked in that lower body. So feel maybe that gentle movement of the weight rocking towards the heels, and then the weight rocking towards the balls of the feet as well. It's not just an arm movement. Following your breath. Next in breath, you're just going to rotate to one side and breathing in and out down that side. For a few movements. The next in breath you take, just come back to the center. Just breathing in and out through the center. Just follow your rhythm. And then rotate to the other side, breathing in and out. There's no rush on this. Let the breath guide the movement. Really keep the shoulders relaxed. Keep the face relaxed. On your next in breath, just rotate and breathing in through the center. Keeping your flow. And then just take a rest. That's always nice to combine with the fountain. So the fountain is a little bit more again of that wave through the spine. So the hips glide back a little bit. Same thing coming up through the center, but then we go and breathe out to the sides. So we get a little bit more of a hinge of the hips there. Breathing in, get that nice spine wave. Chest expands, then breathing out. So you keep going. I'm just going to show you from the side so you can see from the side. It's just a little hinge. We're not leaning forward too far. It's just a little hinge. And then using the legs, using that spine to wave. Shoulders relaxed. And then just taking a rest when you're ready. And then again, another one, a nice one for the lower back. The spine is pulling down the heavens, but with that rotation. So pulling down the heavens in 6 directions. So we breathe in, and then we keep in that position, then we rotate. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then out, back down the center. Breathing in. Rotate to the other side, breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. And again, just find your flow. Breathing in, shoulders relax, breathing out. On the out breath now, just interlocking the thumbs and resting your hands on your lower belly, bringing your feet together. Just letting the elbows sink into the side of the body, tall through the spine, and just closing your eyes. Rocking, swaying, spiraling maybe. Just feeling the contact with the ground through the feet. And then lengthening the spine, so that space, the base of the skull, top of the spine, shoulders relaxed. And then when you're ready, just taking a breath in, opening your eyes, stepping out, having a little brush down. Good, nice. Feels good. Hopefully that feels good to you. Hopefully that set you up for the day, for a little bit more movement, a little bit more energy. And if you're on the Exploring HRV course, there's a catch up on Saturday, 2 till 3. If you're not on Exploring the HRV course, then I'm back on Tuesday. I will be here on Tuesday and we'll focus a little bit more on breath. But thanks for joining, and I'll see you all either Saturday, or have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Take care. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Recording